Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Iblis Manifestations Podcast. This channel features lengthy off-limits conversations with various different artists and entrepreneurs, predominantly from the underground metal scene. We take deep dives into the topics of life, music, spirituality, and take insight from a variety of thought-provoking perspectives from personalities who you don't often hear from in a mainstream settings. I am your host, Cheyenne, and I was originally born and raised in Iran and currently reside in the UK. I am the frontman and founding member of the black death metal band TRIVAX, who have been active since 2009. The band originally started in the Islamic Republic of Iran, where such type of music is banned as well as a punishable offense. You can check the band's pages for any updates on tour dates as well as new music. I am also a personal trainer and an online fitness coach who specializes in people achieving the best versions of themselves physically and mentally. Having been someone who was once extremely out of shape and overweight, I find it to be my duty to be able to pass on the information and knowledge which I've gained to help others achieve the same transformation. The Iblis Manifestations Podcast also features a variety of solo episodes where I discuss personal experiences and anecdotes in a very candid fashion, covering everything from mental health, spirituality, philosophy, and even paranormal experiences. This is the Iblis Manifestations Podcast. To support it, be sure to subscribe to the channel and visit the link in the descriptions.
It's great talking to you, Cheyenne, really. And best of luck to your endeavors for this podcast. I think it's a great initiative.
You're my favorite person to talk to for interviews and stuff. So I love what you're espousing out here. I love the knowledge and the perspectives that you're curating through this, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
As I told you, it was one of the most interesting interviews I've ever had, because we talk a lot more things than just music, and I really appreciated that.
I respect you deeply, and it's an honor to be here.
And friends, remember as always, better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. Enjoy the podcast.
Set.
All set. All right, Ari, my friend, welcome to Iblis Manifestations. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. At last, we.
At last, yeah. We've been talking about doing this one for a while now, man. It's really cool to have you on the show. I think there's probably a lot of ground that we're gonna cover. I think you and I, we probably have a lot of things in common, despite coming from different backgrounds. But first things first, how was your performance at Steelfest this weekend gone?
It was splendid, to say the least, which is pretty much the occasion every time when you go to Steelfest, and dare I say, it is pretty much the best festival when it comes to black metal, and I played there quite a few times now, and it's also been an honor and a pleasure, and extremely efficient and professional staff, which is always something I respect quite highly. And but for Curse, it was the very first time, so it was quite special this time around. So
right, so you've played there before, but it's the first time you actually played with Cursed Upon Prayer.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, cool. Well, you had a nice position on the lineup as well, man, all things considered.
Yeah, no complaints. It was a bit too early for us personally, because we were, me and the lads, we were spending the whole festival. So we did have a few days of raising hell behind us. So it's a bit too early, but no complaints whatsoever. It was very fantastic experience, nevertheless.
For sure. No, I've only ever heard great things about there. It's one of the only festivals, I think, for some fucking reason I still haven't been able to go yet. I think this year was kind of on the cards, but there's just too much stuff going on at the moment. But hopefully next year I would really like to go. I only ever hear good things about there, you know, and and from my understanding, the organization's also very tight and everything is just like very well coordinated, which is can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, it is. They don't fuck around too much, and it's pretty much the only festival that I visit purely as a paying customer as well, regardless of not playing in there. And it's always, you know, one of those special things that you can meet quite a few of your friends from Finland and outside of Finland that you don't necessarily have the chance to meet up. So, yeah, special occasions like a social gathering of very anti-social individuals. So
right. Yeah, I got it.
It's a special occasion on many sense. So
the anti-social social club, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Sure, man. No, that's cool. I like it. And I assume it's probably quite close to where you live as well, out of all the other major festivals out there.
Yeah, it is at the southern part of Finland. I'm not like it's like a couple of hours from where I live at the moment. So yeah, not too far.
There you go. So it's just a quick trip down the road. No, it's amazing. I would love to visit there, you know. And you know what? I actually quite like their kind of uncompromising approach to booking bands as well. I know some people kind of look at that and think, oh, it's going to be a safe haven for whatever. No, as far as I understand, most of the people who go to the festival are absolutely fine people. You know, there's nothing crazy there, you know. And even if it is, usually like a day or two later, it becomes an internet meme, you know. So it's kind of like you can't even complain about that part either because it's just funny and entertaining as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, true. I mean, they're certainly a special kind of festival that lives on even in the meme world as well. Yeah,
that's it. I think there was a recent one from Ad Hominem, I think.
Yeah.
Did you watch that show?
I saw a glimpse of it during the Choke the Woke song. There was a very
Choke the Woke. Wow, I didn't know about that song title. Wow, that's fun.
Yeah. I believe it's from their latest full-length album, if I'm not gravely mistaken.
All right.
Yeah, they did have this very specific performance with one beautiful lady on stage. And I'm sure you can find pictures of it online. So
yes, I have seen. Yeah, I liked her Simpsons tattoo. Actually, that was the thing that caught my eye the most. Yeah. There we go. I like how you're diplomatic you're being there as well. I love it, man. Yeah, actually, yeah.
There's only beautiful ladies and extremely beautiful ladies out there.
Sure. I can feel that. All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you know, there's quite a few things I want to talk to you about, man. You know, Curse Upon a Prayer. Very impressed with your band. Very impressed with a lot of stuff you guys are doing. New album which came out last year sounded killer. Really enjoyed it. But there's one thing in particular that happened not too long ago, which actually, I'll be honest with you, kind of prompted me to be like, oh fuck, you know, I need to talk to this guy. So you guys were supposed to be doing a tour, and I'm trying to remember who the tour was with. Was it with Spectral Wound? Am I remembering this correctly, or am I?
Yeah, Spectral Wound.
Okay.
We should have a couple of dates here in Finland, and we got cancelled from that.
Okay. So tell me about that, because when you posted about it online, you essentially, by the way, Spectral Wound are a fucking great band. I actually just saw them in London. They're very, very good performance. But one thing that you posted in your caption was something along the lines of you were pulled from the organization due to differing values and beliefs or something like that. Now again, I don't know if this actually reflects the band at all, or perhaps the promoters and organizers. So I'd like to maybe dig into that a little bit. Like, what was the real reason why you were canceled? Like, what specifically was it that is such a big deal that you actually get canceled from playing a show?
Well, what it actually like started out as these type of things on this DNA usually start out. There was this one particular individual on social media that I believe within the first hour when we were announced on this tour, it was like mentioning that apparently we as a band, we burn Qurans, and thus we're not a proper fit for this particular tour. And naturally, as these Wangstains usually do, they start bombing the agency and the venues with their messages. And within an hour, I believe the agency started like calling us and asking if we in fact burn Qurans. And the answer is that I've never burned a Quran, but I've certainly torn one to pieces on stage.
Okay.
And I have no regrets about it either. So the next day they hit us with a message that they cannot cope with that. And
when you say they, are you referring to the promoters, the agents, the band? Who are you referring to with that specifically?
The agency was who originally booked us.
Understood. Okay.
Tour, and apparently, as far as I've understood, they've discussed with the venues as well, which is quite hilarious because, last summer we had this slight mini tour here in Finland, and we did play one of the venues that we should have been playing this time around as well, and it wasn't a problem. So this time around, it was. Apparently. So
right.
Apparently we're not. Apparently, the desecration of some holy books is something they cannot support in public.
Okay. The part I'm kind of just wrestling with it a little bit is what's wrong with burning a Quran or tearing it up. I don't understand that part. What do you think that is? Do you think you would have had the same reaction if you did the same to a Bible?
No. I mean, there's been quite a few of Bible desecrations as far as I've understood and seen. So we're not like safe enough for their safe space regulations.
Safe space revelations. Wow, that is something, man.
Regulations, terms and conditions, we're not.
Understood. Well, I think first of all, it's a coward thing to pull a band off after they've already been booked. Fuck, man. You know me, I have a lot of thoughts on this, of course.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the situation better before I make a comment on it. I mean, if you want to talk about burning Qurans, I've done that. I actually did that whilst I was still in Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's where I did it. I've actually got a video. I was talking to Svartalv when we recorded the episode downstairs at Nisblod Records in Oslo. I told him in that episode, I said, there's actually a video of me burning a Quran when I was a teenager. I was still back in Iran, and that's actually something that can get you executed by the government and police forces if they catch you doing that. I was happy to do it because that's just how I felt about it, and I think that it's a real shame that in a country like Finland, which is known for its culture and the arts and obviously, free speech, at least you think people have free speech, to have something so pathetic happen for such reasons. I think I don't know, man, that's not sitting well with me at all. What are your own feelings reflecting on this whole thing? I'd like to quickly interrupt this episode for the following message. My band TRIVAX will be releasing our third full-length album, The Great Satan, via the legendary Osmos Productions on the 30th of May 2025. If you're into extreme metal that's unapologetically defiant, politically and religiously charged, and unafraid to make bold statements where other ways shy away, then you need to hear this album. I would say that musically, The Great Satan blends dark ritualistic Middle Eastern elements with traditional folk and very dynamic usage of the extreme metal subgenres, creating a unique and immersive soundscape. The intro track actually utilizes folk instruments, including baklama and oud, and throughout the album, you will also get the usage of 3 different languages. One, which is, of course, my native language of Farsi, or otherwise known as Persian. We also have songs that are sung in Arabic and, of course, English. The album embodies rebellion, violence, and ecstasy, unafraid to say what so many extreme metal bands will not. Copies will be available directly from the TRIVAX Bandcamp page, or otherwise from the official Osmos web store. Thank you for your support, and please enjoy the rest of the episode.
Yeah, I don't have much of a different views on that, because sometimes we do get this bit of an absurd question that why we're targeting Islam, despite the fact that we are indeed from Finland, which is a so-called Christian country, at least that is the case on paper, but culturally there's no Christian on the left whatsoever. And is this question just something that we should ignore, because the fact is that we just got cancelled because desecrating a holy book, so you figured that out if there's some relevance into it, even in the Nordic countries. So well, it's crazy, man. It's fucking crazy, and it's actually quite asinine as far as I'm concerned, because there's black metal, and then there's the spirit of black metal that everything comes with it. I think even if you were to step outside of that from a free speech perspective, this is a bit of a violation as far as I'm concerned, and I can tell you what free speech really means, because why I can is because I've experienced the severe absence of it growing up in an Islamic totalitarian environment where you can actually get fucking killed for doing that. Now, I think that the West, I would consider Finland to be a part of the West, if anything. I know that geographically you're like kind of in the middle, but north, but nevertheless, culturally, I consider it West. And I think that it's a real step backwards for those agents and all of those people involved, including that person on social media who, I can foresee probably didn't have anything better to do with their lives than to do something like that and just wear a cape for a quick second. And I think, shame on the agents and the people responsible for this, because you are actively feeding into censorship and I think that I don't think these people realize the kind of damage that they're inflicting by their
by being overly compliant to something that they probably don't even know a lot about. I would maybe make the argument that you probably know more about Islam because you sing about it and you've researched it than some of those people do. So I just want to say, as someone who comes from the Middle East, fucking shame on those agents. And I think they should really reevaluate their own decision making, if anything.
Yeah, indeed. And pretty much the biggest a pain in the ass on this is the fact that usually the people who try to cancel these kind of things, the usual people who don't give a shit about the actual shows whatsoever. They're not the ones who are paying for the ticket.
Yeah. That's very common.
Yeah. So that just, the typical white Western crybabies crying about issues they don't have necessarily even anything to do with the trend nowadays of being a victim. And I cannot even describe how much I despise this type of mentality. Just rather putting your focus into something that you want to oppose rather than speaking for something, which is first and foremost like motivation for any blasphemous act that we have done on stage, for example. It all comes down to freedom.
For sure. Yeah, I feel that. One thing that kind of irks me is, when people throw around things like, and when I say people, I'm referring to the kind of folks that you're describing there. It's the I don't like to label people by their race, but it is the white, far left people who just have too much time on their hands, and I think that part of the issue is that, like I kind of pointed to earlier, it's the lack of education that comes with it. But also, if anything, they should be celebrating the fact that you're opposing Islam, considering Islam, as far as the religions are concerned, is the most far right of all of the ideologies, within the context of spirituality. People don't understand this part, so, whether you want to talk about, the simple fact that you can get executed for being a gay person, or the fact that as a woman, you are totally oppressed. You're basically, your role in society is to be an object and no more. I think that it's crazy that some of these people who champion equal rights and things like that then promote a level of equality, and not equality, but promote a level of acceptance towards something that is so inherently anti-equality, anti-acceptance. I think that's fucking so bizarre to me. It's just crazy. It's almost laughable.
It doesn't make much sense. So pretty much the first and only mistake you can usually make with this kind of people whose brain capacities on this level, the only fucking mistake you can actually make is to try to reason with them, because I've never had any good results with it, because it's like mental athleticism that I truly cannot fucking comprehend. And
mental gymnastics you're referring to,
yeah? Mental gymnastics, pretty much.
I understand.
And on a level that I don't know. Yeah, I'm just losing fucking brain cells when I try to even read those messages that has got us cancelled to begin with. So
I understand that. Yeah, but just out of curiosity, what was your own first introduction actually, to take a step back for a second, I can tell you part of where the problem is. I think it's when people start blurring the lines between race and religion, you know, which that idea on its own is something that I've always opposed, you know, ever since I left Iran and I found out it's a thing, you know, the idea that you criticizing a religion somehow makes you a racist or somehow means that you have some kind of a prejudice against a specific race of people. And just to clarify, that's not your position, right?
No whatsoever.
There you go. Okay, I think that's the biggest problem, is that blurring the lines between the two kind of then makes the religion essentially it gives it this armor that you're no longer allowed to criticize it, even though it's a barbaric faith that is practiced or at least associated with 2 billion people on Earth. I think you should be able to criticize that, if anything, especially now when the majority is going towards that direction.
Yeah, indeed. And I think the motivation for us, what is the realism for us, I guess, here in Nordic countries, is the spineless attitude that people outside of this religion seem to have. As you said, there's no ground for criticism when it comes to this real religion here in Finland. And that's a trait that personally I have a difficult time to live with. Because it goes very much against of my own values and beliefs, and then there's some, I don't know, these individuals online trying to pull us into, as you mentioned, racism or fucking bullshit like that. It's just a weak fucking excuse to avoid the points that we're trying to make with this religion. But at the same time, it's also something you can very well expect on this day and age, because it is also a fact that what we do and what you're doing with TRIVAX as well it's certainly not for everyone. And I don't even expect that majority of the people can actually grasp the thing that what we're doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would actually go as far as saying, first of all, I appreciate you saying that. What I would probably say is that in this particular context, so when you're saying that, so it's essentially a symptom of the world. It's a reflection of a much bigger cultural problem that's happening all across the West at the moment, I would say. And it's that thing of being overly compliant. I think at the core of it, most people, and I really mean this, most people, 80% of people, 90% of people, I don't know, but most people probably just want others to be okay, you know. So if you got that religion, no problem, yeah, you go fucking do your thing, man, whatever, live and let live. Most people are that way. But then within that, then it comes a case of making choices, okay, where do you draw the line? And with some situations, people then start to take sides. It's well, I don't want to upset this person's faith or religion, so instead I'll come and cancel this local band that are trying to play a show in front of 100, 200 people, you know. And I think that's and it's not to downplay the power of that either, but I think that it's a very hypocritical thing to do, you know. And it actually becomes this kind of a fucking crazy Orwellian situation, you know, where it's people just become agents of the Matrix and then are somehow fighting for ideas that aren't necessarily of their own. But I think that at the same time, I would probably say that what we're doing with Curse Upon a Prayer and, of course, TRIVAX, as you mentioned, I think that you can be someone who's not even into black metal or metal in general. But from a cultural, artistic perspective, the fact that we're actually highlighting something that might be a real, no, not might be, is a real fucking problem in the world today, I think that's something that everyone could take a page out of that book, regardless of whether you're even into the music or not. And then if you happen to be into it, then that's kind of like almost like a bonus, if you will, It's kind of a multi-dimensional thing. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I fully agree. To say that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Just out of curiosity, what was your own first introduction to Islam? Like, how did you first find it, and then find yourself going down the path of thinking, oh, you know what, I'm actually going to write some music about this?
2015.
Was it Paris?
It was actually my hometown in Lapland, Tornio.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to mention the Eagles of Death Metal shooting. Okay, yeah, please carry on. So you found it in your...
Yeah, I'm very much aware of that as well.
Yeah.
But it's a totality of reasons. Obviously, the fact that how just even when you think about the realm of art, there's been people losing their lives when they criticize this particular religion. Mm-hmm. That's surely one of the motivations for it. And 2015, we did have a few incidents in my own hometown as well, when there was this swarm of, I guess, so-called Muslim immigrants coming across the border from the Swedish-Finnish border, where my hometown is. So it was quite a flagrant dawn to wake up to, witnessing, masses and masses of supporters of the Islamic faith coming to our town about 10 years ago. So yeah, I believe that kicked off the first impulse, and there were some incidents in there.
Can you maybe shed some light on those incidents in particular?
A few violent incidents that were, I guess, motivated by the morals of something that was not from our city.
So what happened? Some of the people who came over there, were they like attacking the locals based on different faiths? Or what was the nature of these incidents? Were other people attacking? Like, what actually happened?
There was some harassment with children.
Oh.
And all kinds of mishappenings.
And to clarify, were some of these people who came over, were they the ones responsible for that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
is this something that's on the news? Like, can we look it up, or? Like, what do people search for? Let's say if people want to search for like an article that highlights, oh yeah, there were children that were assaulted or harmed by these people. Like, where can they find that? Like, do you have specific details? Just because I don't want to like be vague about stuff like this.
Yeah, sure. There were like we had this immigration asylum pretty much on the same location that where, for example, my parents lived in, and there was a school, and there were like grown Muslim men like on the yard during the school days, trying to fuck around. Nothing crucial happened, but where we live in, it's quite a secluded place. So I was about in my teens at that age, so it certainly had an impact. Nothing like a major happened, at least in our town, but because we were quite lucky with it. But there was a few incidents in Oulu, for example, who definitely made it to news. And I can give you details for it as well.
Please do. Yeah. I think it's important to highlight that rather than be vague about it.
Yeah, I do understand. So, but when we're talking about fucking rape and violence, it's not. So it's.
So it's difficult for you to talk about it.
Not necessarily, but there was the things that happened in the north of Finland. They made it to the headlines quite flagrantly, and apparently there's still some hassle in that area. So, and yeah, there was all kinds of interviews with these. Some of them were apparently like confirmed, like ISIS guys.
Oh shit! Right.
There was like a notorious picture right at the border of Sweden and Finland, where was this ISIS guy posing that he's coming to Finland, and somebody actually picked up a photo of him from the battlefield where he was holding a severed fucking head, and that guy was coming to Finland on the same town where me and my parents and pretty much all my relatives lived in. And
I understand. Okay.
And there are like people in our circle who are like mercenaries who have actually went there to like shoot those particular persons and being at war with them. And yeah, it's quite a handful. So
yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, I can imagine when you're saying you got someone like that who's a fucking monster coming into the town that, like you said, you and your parents live. I think that's the kind of thing, you know, I was trying to get at is okay, well that's understandable, but you know, like just coming back into it, you know, they say like not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims, you know, kind of thing, you know, which I guess in majority is true, but maybe not entirely either, because you know there's a lot of other fuckery that's happened throughout history, you know, that I've definitely opened my eyes to, especially in the more recent years. But on a general basis, you know, I think it's the fact of I would even go as far as saying that, okay, if people are coming over and if before that you were there making anti-Christian black metal, if they come over and then now you make anti-Islamic black metal, if anything, I think you're actually being very inclusive about it. You know, you're treating them the same as everyone else, if anything, by doing that.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. People don't like to think about that part though, you know, which is like that sort of like unnecessary fucking shielding that you put around an ideology or a faith. That's almost like that's kind of exclusionary in its own way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know. But just one like time out.
Yeah, please.
I'm not, you know, quite not sure if I'm perfectly comfortable with sharing like details like from the previous question. So
you're not too what? Sorry.
I'm not quite sure if I'm not completely comfortable with sharing like the details that I said in the previous question. So,
Okay. Hey, just a quick moment of your time. For the past 3 years, Iblis Manifestations has been entirely self-funded. This means that every subscription fee, every piece of equipment, all of the travel expenses have come out of my own pocket. Over time, people have asked me how they can support the podcast, and to be honest with you, up until now, the answer's been pretty straightforward, and that is simply spread the word. But now, there's another way. I have set up a Patreon account where followers of the podcast will be able to make monthly donations to the podcast, and this will help cover the costs of streaming gear and basically everything else that goes into making this show. This isn't about making a profit, and to be completely honest, it's not about breaking even either, because that's certainly not been the case for the last 3 years. However, if you do find value in the conversations that we're having on this podcast and wish to help them forward, then you can now support the show. Just head to the link in description and hit the Patreon button. And, of course, it goes without saying, thank you for supporting Iblis Manifestations. It is much appreciated.
yeah, but this is one of the few ones that I'm doing here with my own face, so things might have consequences as well. So
Sure. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's the same for me as well, by the way.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
doubt you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, no problem.
But
So,
just wanted to point that out because these are quite real things at the end of the day. So,
well, I think that these are very real things, but I think that that's why it's important to talk about it, because you have to understand, not talking about it feeds into the problem. It makes the problem bigger than it is. Whereas by simply having discourse, that's one of the things with the podcast, for example. I'm not sponsored. I don't take orders from anyone. I have no backing or anything. I, in fact, pump my own money into this podcast to even make it happen. Okay, now I have a small community now that are helping out with that, but it's a very small community. I still do this because I want to. And there's a certain risk that comes with that, of course. But at the same time, I think it's important that if you really believe in something, and by you, I mean everyone, if they believe in something, then you should be able to, at the very least, talk about it and air those concerns, okay? Sometimes they might be legitimate, sometimes they might not be, but at the very least, we're discussing them. Not talking about it, I think, is a part of the problem, personally.
Yeah, true.
There we go. Cool, man. Cool. Well, if you want, we can, we can discuss that part later. But so just tell me then. So, I mean, in how do you go about kind of wanting to incorporate that into the music? Like is it just from a perspective of an outlet? Is it a perspective of, oh, I don't want to copy what other people have done? Like, where does the urge come from? The artistic urge come from, rather than anything?
It comes from the things that you hold near and dear to your heart, and absolutely when you truly love something, then you quite naturally propose something as well. And Islam being one of those things, but it's not like the main motivation for the music, because I do think that if you base something that it's just solely anti something, it's quite hollow and shallow.
Fair enough. Okay.
So it's more about the own spirituality and the freedom at its purest form. That's the motivation for utilizing for this kind of type of themes. So, for example, on the on the Infidel album, for example, it is like I would say, the character portrait of the devil himself. So, wouldn't say it's like a political commentary necessarily on anything, even here in Finland. But at the same time, it's a major middle finger towards the modern world.
In what sense? Like, in what way is it meant to be a middle finger to the modern world? How the Islamic religion has been perceived here in the Western world as well. Like, it is above criticism, and people have been killed for it, just for doing a few comic books about it. Like Charlie Hebdo, for example. Yeah, for example, and there's quite a few of those, and Eagles of Death Metal as well, and just without the provocation as well. So the severe consequences with itself is a pure motivation to pursue it, and but I wouldn't say it's like the main thing that is the motivation, because the motivation is something bigger. It is the freedom, which includes freedom of speech as well. And if I get killed for the sake of doing like this interview, then I don't necessarily want to live on this planet to begin with. Okay. I mean, hopefully you don't get killed for doing this interview.
You're still alive, so.
There you go. I am. So that gives everyone else faith. No, but really, the thing is as well, we're not being provocative for the sake of it either. I think it's actually more of a natural, caring response to life and our environment. And a very good point that you made is for freedom. As you said, freedom of speech, freedom of spirituality. But what does freedom mean to you personally?
It does mean total freedom. Like, it sounds quite simple and even vague when you say it out loud, but when you actually think it through, it is the freedom from society, for example, and the principles that the everyday society holds, and freedom from the typical slave mentality that people tend to have in this type of culture. So,
for sure. So you got the slave mentality. I'm with you on that. I've always been allergic to that. I was actually talking to someone earlier today. I was just saying that I don't know how normal, I said in quotations, like a normal people go about their lives, and then not have like a purpose. I think it's more perhaps for me the idea of having a purpose, But the thing is as well, we do also live in a world where there's a transactional aspect to the nature that we live in. Like, for example, if you want to have something, you need to fight for it to get it. Okay, now whether it's money or whether it's safety or security. So one thing that I've kind of been wrestling with a lot is also the kind of the meaning of freedom, because you do have paradoxes within reality, is that you can't have freedom without discipline, for example.
Yes.
Well, so there needs to be some kind of like a rigid element to it to gain that, like freedom's not something that just happens, it's not in the nature. I don't think it's in the nature of life to fully embrace freedom, whatever that means, because then because you have power struggles within nature. You always have a victim and a predator, and freedom in that context becomes a very weird sort of a thing that just kind of gets entangled in the meaning of life, I think.
Yeah, it is. If you treat something like shit, you usually get shit out of it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be your mind, your body, your music, your art, or pretty much fucking everything. But it applies to anything, to nature as well. If you're fucking, you don't care about it, it's gonna return to favor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you don't fight for your own survival, then nature will take over you. It will take over you.
And nothing comes for free on this planet.
Yeah.
So,
but should it either? I don't think it should either. I don't believe that it should.
That's at least not my experience. Pretty much the only currency you have on this planet is pain. Pretty much, the more you're willing to suffer for something, the more you get out of it as well.
I like that. Yeah, because I always say, what's the biggest amount of pain a human being could go through is childbirth. Well, what's the result of that? Literally life, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's well put.
Yeah. No, I think pain as a currency is a beautiful concept to think about, and I think once you see it that way, you kind of stop neglecting it and stop running away from it rather, but instead actually start embracing it. And the more you embrace it, the more you actually start to live and feel that real freedom that perhaps you and I are talking about.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Do you partake in any kind of physical exercise or anything like that?
Yes, I've been going to the gym for pretty much my whole adult life, so it's something that I do before every show, for example.
Okay, you train before shows?
Yes, and it's in my daily routine as well.
Okay, so that's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, because you say you've been doing it your whole adult life, because I think you and I are actually pretty much the same age. I think I am, when I was looking on the thing, I think I am exactly like 1 year older than you to the month.
Oh, yeah, are you like 94?
Yeah, that's it. 15 November 94. That's my birthday.
Well, I'm 95, so.
There we go. Fellow Scorpios, eh?
Yeah. Indeed.
That's it. Absolutely, man. That's cool. The reason why I mentioned physical exercise is because I'm a very firm believer in the power of that, especially in the context of spirituality as well.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of the points that I've been quite enjoying in your content, putting your aspect on the physical side as well.
Thank you.
Because I do think that there's no separation between the spirit and the flesh. It is very much the same. And if something you value where strength or power is part of the equation, it should manifest itself physically as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's this flesh prison is literally the vessel of the spirit as well. And it works both ways. The spirit can affect the flesh, and the flesh can affect the spirit. And that's something quite near and dear to my heart. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. Same here. I think that I do believe that the two can affect each other, and I can say that for sure. I mean, so many people have illnesses and things that are actually manifestations of their mental state. I mean, how often does that happen? All the time, only. That's like that's such a common thing. But vice versa, when you train physically, you know, I mean, I've been going fucking every morning this week, and it's like you can feel the transfer of your thoughts and emotions into the physical realm, and as a result, you find yourself at such a peaceful environment. You know, I mean, you call it flesh prison, you know, and I know that's a more a matter of saying, which is quite common in the context of black metal, especially, but. You know, it can be a prison, or you can make it your home. You can decorate it and make it nice for the time that you have it. You know, that's my thoughts.
Indeed. Yeah, it should be the sword of Satan, your physical body.
Yes, I have become. Yeah.
Yeah.
Morbid Angel reference. But no, that's cool, man. So what do you normally train before shows? You got a specific routine? Do you train backstage, or do you specifically go to gyms? Like, what's your deal with that?
I usually try to hunt down a gym.
Okay.
To do a full body exercise and some treadmill as well, just to keep on the intensity of the shows. Because we're certainly not one of those bands who would like to look our toes during the performance. So, you know, just being capable of actually performing the songs, because I do have a tendency to write songs that I have serious difficulties playing live, which I do like the challenge, but it's also a pain in the ass when we start rehearsing for the live shows. So
right, I got it.
It's just towards respect for the craft to actually being in the condition that you can actually do the fucking shows.
Yeah, no, I respect that, man, because I think that's a very important way of looking at it. You know, in fact, it's one of the things I find extremely off-putting. You know, and I hate to sound judgmental, but I am judgmental. I may as well just like wear it on my sleeve. I fucking hate seeing people on stage who are out of shape. You know, especially frontmen. If I see like a fat frontman, I'm judgmental as fuck. I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Go sort yourself out before you gonna put yourself in on a fucking stage in front of a room full of people. You know, I just think,
I can very much relate on that one.
Right. Got it.
You should be aware of your position when you're playing a fucking show.
Yeah. Do you know why I say that? Just to be clear, it's not for the sake of being vain, but it's an extension of something. So to me, if you as a man don't have your shit together physically, and if you've got a massive beer belly fucking hanging off of you, to me, that's an extension of the fact that you don't have your shit together. You don't respect yourself. You do not have discipline. And as a result, I don't think that you have earned the position to be in a room full of people and have people pay you attention. Why should people listen to you if you haven't got your own shit together? So that's kind of where that thought comes from. It's not because of what you look like, but because of what you look represents, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well put. And I think the best thing and the most beautiful thing about physical training, for example, is that you can't fake it.
Sure.
You can shoot all the bullshit you want that you're going to the fucking gym, but if what you see is the complete opposite, you're usually full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you know, I don't want to listen to the music to someone who I know is a loser, and I'm not going to respect as a person, you know. I'm sorry, that's very blunt. I'm in a very blunt mood, so I'm just saying it like it is, you know. Yeah. Simple facts.
Yeah, I do my same qualities as well, but people are free to do whatever the fuck they want, but
of course,
at least I know. And you know what the fuck we're doing, so that's enough for me.
Yeah, well, for sure. No, there is that. Listen, I don't want to, when I'm saying that, I don't want to like take away anyone's right to go on stage. You know, the thing that people got to understand as I'm talking about this is that there was once upon a time where I was like 120 kilos going on stage, standing in front of a room full of people. So when I'm making that criticism, is part of it is because I'm referring to my older self, which I've rejected, you know?
Yes.
Do you ever hear that saying? They say that, oh, what you despise in other people are the things which you've rejected in yourself. This is exactly it.
Yeah, it is. The same reason why pretty much all the hardcore homophobes, for example, turn out to be gay. So
this is so true. Yes. Yeah, very true. Very true. Very common.
Same old saying, but I can very much relate on that one, because to me, like, physical training is very much like essential. It's pretty much what keeps my headspace in the right place occasionally. Because again, this totality between the spirit and flesh, if you have some trouble with your mind, for example, then it's good to have a proper pump.
Oh, yeah.
And vice versa as well. If you're having a bit of a hangover after 2 days of Steelfest, it's good to, I don't know, have a pump as well.
Well, for sure, yeah. I'm skipping on the hangover part for the last 3 years, man. But yeah, it's just like, you know, it makes everything better. I keep saying, like, when I look at how I used to be, I don't understand how people who don't train, who don't lift weights, go about their lives, and I mean everyone. You know, because it's like, I think it should be an essential for anyone. You know, I put up a story on Instagram the other day. I said, if you ever uttered the term mental health anywhere, you should make weightlifting a priority in your life, always.
Yeah, and it's very much like personal hygiene to me as well. Like, you brush your teeth as well, you do your hygiene, you take care of your flesh prison.
Yeah. Well, I don't think everyone brushes their teeth, you know. I like to know if that girl on stage at Steelfest was brushing her teeth, but I don't know. That's
yeah, but
I'm sorry to that lady. I don't mean no disrespect.
Yeah, and apparently she doesn't go to the gym either.
What do you? Well, imagine it turns out that she's a massive fucking power lifter, you know, and she's just bulking for the comp.
oh, fucking hell!
That's terrible. I am only joking. Please, people, don't be offended.
Yeah, we're gonna get cancelled nonetheless. So
listen, you know, you can get cancelled all you want. You know, the important thing is that you don't get stopped, and that's how I look at it. So there we go.
Well said.
Yeah, it's a quote from my friend Bezod, actually, from Destroyer. But yeah, man, so it's cool to hear that. You know, I think it's cool that we've got that in common. You know, and I think that when you're performing this kind of music, you know, I can especially imagine from your perspective, being from Finland and having those kind of thoughts and emotions that, you know, when you want to write music that's kind of extreme and it goes against so many different things, that comes from a place of a lot of emotional turmoil, I would imagine. You know, I'm speaking based on personal experience as well. Of course, you know, you need to feel that in order to want to make music like that. So I think that if you're not physically training, you can't keep up with the pain that's up here sometimes, you know?
Please. Yeah, very much so. And it's a funny thing that like physical training and like meditation, for example, it's very, very much the same. Like, well, personally, I cannot like do like any sort of physical training. If I prefer to do it in complete silence and isolation, which is the case with meditation as well.
Interesting. So when you're doing weightlifting, you like to do it in silence.
Yes.
I like that. That's okay. Now we're in Goggins territory. You know, I was joking with one of my clients the other day. I was training him, and he was asking me if I listen to music, and I said, yeah, I do, but I also have times where I just go in and put in earplugs just so I want to have silence, just because I want to hear my own thoughts, because sometimes that's just more fucking wild and terrifying than anything else, you know, and that kind of serves as motivation on its own terms. So it's cool to hear that you do the same thing.
Yeah, it is. But it's also always like being like that. It's like a physical meditation to me personally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So,
have you ever tried any yoga nidra at all?
No, not actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not a physical thing, but it's basically like something you can listen to. You can just download it online. I'm considering maybe recording one myself, but you can just like listen to it for like 15-20 minutes, and then it puts you basically mitigates any kind of like lack of sleep, or basically it kind of centers you and almost puts you at a state of sleep but without actually sleeping, and it doesn't last very long. I tried this before our last show in Barcelona, and then I followed it by some actual yoga, and bro, I felt fucking amazing. You know, like when we went on stage, I went there just to fucking murder, you know. It was like, you know, I felt like I had my game on just from doing that, you know, having like 30 minutes to myself before the show. It's just so powerful doing it. I highly recommend you to try it out, man.
Yeah, well, feel free to send a link. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I will do. Like I said, I might record one myself, you know, Iblis Manifestations, Yoga Nidra. People can listen to me, put them to sleep, as if I already haven't been doing that for the last 3.5 years.
I doubt.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, I'm very excited. You know, I'm glad that we got the chance to finally talk and, you know, kind of get a scope of things, you know, and I appreciate you also being brave and open to talk about some of those topics as well, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're quite. Yeah, but there's a lot to cover, so to speak, with these topics, and it's never-ending well of things, pretty much, when it comes to.
Well, it is.
Things and
it is, but I think the important thing is that, like I said earlier, that we are talking about them, you know, and I think I very much enjoy what you're doing with Curse Upon a Prayer as well, you know. Would be cool if we get the chance to share the stage someday, you know, and perhaps you and I can train beforehand, you know, and then,
Works for me very well.
Amazing stuff, man. Just as we kind of wrap this up, is there anything that you kind of want to share with people? Anything you want them to check out that you got coming up?
Yeah, we got live shows coming up. We just did Steelfest. We're gonna be under the Black Sun Festival in early July, I believe. And we're going first time in Sweden as well in the fall. So there's quite a few things coming up unannounced as well.
Okay.
And I just gotta hope that when we actually announce things, we don't get cancelled once again. So.
Well, part of the reason why you and I are having this conversation right now is that people can come and do their own due diligence and listen to what you actually have to say instead of making presumptions based on some online comments.
Yeah, that's quite highly. I appreciate that very much. Because that's certainly not the case with every platform that we have online. So.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Happy to be of service here. I'm interested to talk about stuff, you know, and not really censor things either, you know. That's why, like, when I post, you know, every time I record a conversation, generally speaking, I just keep it as it is, you know, so people can get a scope of, okay, well, who is this person whose music I've been listening to? Who is this person? Oh, what is he saying? Oh, how did he respond to that, you know? Because stuff gets said all the time, and then it's like, well, how about you listen to what the actual person has to say, you know?
Yeah, indeed. As it should be. And
As it should be. Yeah, I agree.
But it's a bit of a new thing to me personally to do this kind of interviews, because I've declined for quite a few of these, but Iblis Manifestations seems to be a proper lineup for this type of things to discuss.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your trust. And I appreciate you being here, man. It's been really cool chatting to you tonight.
Yeah. Likewise.
Amazing stuff. Right, Ari, you take care of yourself, man, and to everyone else listening to this, hope you guys enjoyed the open conversation. Again, comment section is open, so go wild. Tell us, let us know what you think, okay? And if you feel shy about sharing your thoughts, you can always send me a message as well. But hope you guys enjoyed this one. Support the fuck out of Curse Upon a Prayer. Their last album came out last year, so go check it out, and we'll see you on the next episode.